Hey, good morning, or good afternoon, or good even earlier morning, wherever you are listening. I'm Sammy the Dog Trainer, and you're listening to my podcast on life with real dogs. I sent a shout out asking for questions my listeners want to know about on my Facebook page, Camp Sammy. If you have questions you're dying to know about, or you just want to listen to me drone on for a spell, you can send me a message on my Camp Sammy Facebook page, that's SAMMY, Camp Sammy, or through my website, sammythedogtrainer.com, again, SAMMY. You can email me at sammythedogtrainer@gmail.com or hit me up on Twitter, Sammy Dog Trainer. There's no the in that one for some reason. I could only be Sammy Dog Trainer on Twitter. Anyways, Kim from Vandalia, Ohio writes, how do I get my dog to stop barking at the door? Kim, that is $1 million question. Actually, it's not, but the dog trainer wishes it was. So, barking at the door is a pretty complex behavior, and it actually holds quite a bit of meaning for a dog. In the wild, it would serve as a warning for pack mates that something suspect or potentially dangerous was around. They would echo their pack mates or other dogs' warning barks to get the word out, successfully providing a bit of safety net for their pack. That is one of the major reasons I tell people not to punish barking right off the bat. It feeds a very natural need for your dog to protect his or her family. Discouraging all barking could possibly lead to other behavioral complications, and it is sending the message to your dog that you don't value his or her love or esteem for your pack. However, and that's a big however, barking neurotically is not healthy, and it's actually quite a common problem. With any neurotic behavior, it's a cycle, or Ouroboros, if you will. That's my little academic nerd coming out there. The dog does something, and by doing whatever that something is, he or she feels a sense of accomplishment, or perhaps even emotional release. This is positive enough an outcome for them to do it again, and again, and again, which obviously is not only unhealthy for your dog, but it's super annoying. So, I like to teach my dogs the command, quiet. And you're like, that's nice, Sammy. I try saying quiet to my dogs, and they look at me like I have 5 heads, and they keep barking. So, we have to teach our dogs what the word quiet actually means. In order to do this, you are going to need a humane corrective measure. If you have listened to my dog training video lecture, which you can find a link to on my website, sammythedogtrainer.com, you would know for an undesirable behavior, we correct it and then we replace it. Okay, so what does that mean? In practice, it means your dog starts barking, then you loudly and clearly, very enunciated, say, quiet. Now, your dog is probably not going to know what to do at this point. So you bust out your corrective measure. You say no, very abruptly and also with a lot of volume. And at the same time, you use the correction at the same time. Now, I like sound corrections for this particular type of behavioral problem, not only because they're super effective on most dogs, but because they're also super humane. A sound correction does not hurt your dog in any way. It doesn't even touch them. Okay, Sammy, what do you mean by a sound correction? There are a couple go-tos in my dog trainer tool belt that I like. The first one is Pet Corrector. That's the brand name you can find on Amazon or at Pet Supermarket. It's also listed under the recommended dog products section of my website. It's basically compressed air. In a pinch, you could use a computer duster or some of the other pet store chains have similar things called by other names, but it's basically just compressed air. It makes a huge hiss noise. There is another device you can buy online through my website. I get a small affiliate marketing fee at no cost to you. Take pity on the dog trainer, please. This one is called the Doggy Don't. It makes like a crackly kind of sound, sort of like a taser, but it doesn't actually tase anything, which is nice if you have a household full of kids. Oops, Johnny accidentally tased Susie. Not a good scenario for anyone. Anyway, with this device, you press a button and it makes a similar sound. In a pinch, The cheapest one is an empty soda can with pennies in it. Use a metal soda can because the clang sound is better. I use pennies because I'm cheap, but if you're feeling super fancy, by all means, use dimes, nickels, quarters if you can fit them. When I use this corrective measure, I shake it like I'm going to bite them in the face with it. Not some puny little shake, shake. No, like you're going after them. But don't actually hit your dog with it because that's mean and evil, and don't do that. Okay, so now we have some tools to try. This is how we do it. Dog starts barking. You command in your commanding voice, quiet. Your dog does not be quiet. Then you bust out your corrective measure and you say no. At the same time you use it. Repeat quiet again. Now the sound correction usually startles your dog enough that he is quiet for a moment. Praise that moment. Good, quiet. Reward him for being quiet. If he starts barking again, no, and your sound correction, then give him the command quiet again. What the sound correction effectively does is it breaks your dog from keying on whatever sound they are barking at, and also breaks them out of a dangerous or unusable high energy zone. The zone you need your dog in to work with him or her is below this super high energy keyed up zone. Sound corrections are pretty darn effective at busting them back down into a workable energy zone. Your dog is going to start understanding what the word quiet means pretty quickly. Eventually, if you keep following this pattern, when you say quiet, your dog will stop barking. Ta-da! Now, there are passive ways of correcting barking, but as a dog trainer, they are not my favorite. It's because they correct barking at all. And like I said before, it's natural for a dog to bark some. However, using passive methods when you can't be home or paying attention to your dog are sometimes quite effective. And if you don't use them day in and day out, you won't do any psychological damage to your dog. Now, by passive, I absolutely do not mean debarking your dog. Debarking is a heinous surgery where the vocal cords of the dog are surgically rendered inept. This is not only extremely lazy, but it's evil. And I don't know a veterinarian who would do such a surgery without a reason like, I don't know, maybe throat cancer. Thankfully, I have not seen any debarking cases in the past couple decades. Yay, humanity, moving on forward. No, by passive, I mean either a non-shocking bark collar or an ultrasonic bark box. The bark collar can be quite therapeutic for some dogs who are stuck in a neurotic barking cycle. What it does usually is give a warning beep or two, and then if the dog keeps barking, it vibrates. The vibrate doesn't hurt them, but it usually weirds them out. I've seen dogs bark through this, but not too many. It's usually pretty effective. Now, let me give you a story. My friend accidentally, sorry, I shouldn't laugh, it's terrible. My friend accidentally bought a shocking bark collar, not knowing the difference. Here's what happened. Chloe barked. And then Chloe got shocked. Then Chloe yelped, and Chloe got shocked again. And then she yelped again. And then she got shocked again. You can see the problem here. We had to chase her around the yard trying to catch her to get the offending collar off, all the while she was yelping and running. It was not a great moment. Had I checked the collar for her before she tried putting it on, I would have seen the metal rather than plastic tips of the collar. Usually the shocking collars have metal tips, and the non-shocking ones have plastic or rubber. Now, this is just for bark collars, not electronic collars with a remote. Just FYI, those are different. So there's also something called a bark box, which you can get online through my website, which basically detects barking and then it emits an ultrasonic sound. Mine kind of looks like a little birdhouse, in case you're interested. We as humans can't hear the ultrasonic sound, but your dog can. It's uncomfortable. And I've seen it work on some dogs and not others, so it depends on your dog whether or not it's going to work. So that's another passive method that you can try. You can get the ultrasonic bark box and turn it on when you can't effectively do the quiet with your dog. So, to recap, to get your dog to stop barking, it's going to require some work on your part if you choose to take my advice and teach them the command quiet. Check out some sound correction measures to help you do this. So remember, it's command and then reward if they do it or correct if they don't. Say no and blow the air or shake the can or whatever method you find works for your dog. When they pause and they're barking, tell them, good, quiet, and reward them. And then if they start barking again, you go through the cycle again. And then we also talked about a few passive methods. Sometimes people who live in close quarters, like apartment complexes, find them useful for not annoying their neighbors with their dog barking while they're at work, things like that. So, there you have it in a very condensed sort of way for this podcast. If you have any questions you would like me to tackle on this podcast, reach out to me on my website, SammyTheDogTrainer.com, Facebook page, Camp Sammy, Tampa Dog Training, Twitter, Sammy Dog Trainer, and also remember Twitter, Sammy Dog Trainer has no the because Twitter is weird, or SammyTheDogTrainer@gmail.com, SAMMY is how you spell Sammy. Thanks for listening and generously supporting, hint, hint, sorry, generously supporting veteran-owned small business. I'm Sammy the Dog Trainer. Cheers. Ba-ba-da.